Welcome to Broken Backlinks, the podcast where we explore the maze of SEO with a dash of humor. Ever wondered why some links lead to treasure while others to nowhere? Join me and my guests as we navigate the digital sea. From stormy 404s to the sunny shores of page one, buckle up. It's going to be a fun ride, one broken link at a time.
Ladies and gentlemen, my SEO folks, my SEO peeps, welcome to the second episode of the Broken Backlinks Podcast, brought to you by WhitePress. It is going to be a very special episode. Two absolute legends in the world of business, in the world of SEO, also great friends of mine. But before I jump in and I start introducing them, not that they need any introduction, a quick snapshot of what's been going on in the world of SEO, kind of, a little nugget of SEO news. Everyone's been talking about, of course, the leaks, the Google leaks, which has come out. People have been going absolutely mental, drawing their own comparisons and all of that. That, of course, is something we need to perhaps tackle while having a chat with Karl and James. Another piece of SEO news, which I personally find it really interesting, is James Dooley can actually take a holiday and he can stop working because, believe it or not, James was away on holiday, which, of course, I'm going to ask him a few more questions about that and ask about his fantastic tan, which he almost looks like me now. But then, I'm blessed with a natural tan, mate, so you'll have a bit more to do. Without further ado, guys, pleased to welcome, honored to have Karl Hudson and James Dooley on the Broken Backlinks podcast. Gentlemen, welcome.
How you doing? You all right?
All good, all good. Good to see you.
The dodgy link builder.
Had to put it that way. That's the brand. I mean, which link builder is not dodgy, no matter how you call us.
Is that why it's broken?
Correct. And I sell all kind of links. Broken, not broken, tier 2, you name it. Brilliant. All right, gents. Let's just kind of jump into the nitty-gritties of it. And I'll try and steer away from the standard questions which are asked literally on every podcast. So I'm not going to bore my audience to death, and of course not you, because you can't answer the same question differently because there ain't a different answer to that. However, something which is literally kind of a burning news thing which has come out is about the leaks. Now, James, just before you popped onto the podcast, I was having a chat with Karl, and I'd love to know your opinion on it. To me, I'm not a conspiracy theorist here, but it seems rather convenient where the algo update happened, then the site reputation abuse. There was a lot of commotion within the world of SEO where people have been extremely scared whether to invest in SEO or not. And then these leaks come up, which don't really tell a complete story anyways, which further scares the world of SEO. And people have been talking too much about people pulling their budget for SEO, starting to invest into Google Ads more, or standard SEOs kind of burying their head in the sand and literally trying to follow what Google has been saying. What's your opinion, James? Because for me, it looks like one of those jokers in the back pocket from Google where they wanted to up their revenue, make few odd more billions and take the budgets away from SEO and start investing into Google Ads. What's your take on it, mate?
So, sorry, mate, the internet was being a bit dodgy then. It was cracking up.
You think that's the gap?
Yeah. With regards to the Google leaks, it's crazy if you actually read through it. They're actually saying that content and links are the main part of SEO. Oops. I mean, who would have thought that?
It's probably a bit like...
Should I enter forum? The net is terrible. Look, he's like, oh no, it's fine. Riverside, man. We can't hear a thing you've just said, mate. It's all right.
Right, wait.
He's a top SEO, but he can't afford fiber internet connection.
Yeah.
He's on DSL. He's on dial-up.
Yeah.
Let me leave. I'll come back in 1 minute.
Okay.
Me and you will talk about it.
You two talk about it. I'll leave and come back.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
We were chatting, obviously, Steve, earlier, and my view is it's quite a scary notion for SEOs. Obviously, it's a scary time in general when a lot of SEOs, especially the people we mixed with, had their own websites and things like this, and then the HCUs came along and kind of like smashed it. Smashed loads of websites. What 90% of websites we've seen that were affiliative now, down. And so far, we haven't seen a recovery, despite some SEO saying they've recovered sites. I've never ever seen an actual recovery from a HCU hit site. Now, that said, that doesn't mean that you can't launch new websites and get results, which we are doing ourselves and seeing loads of results there. But obviously reference this ranking, the leaks, the different attributes and things that were referenced in the leaks. The hard part is, yes, there's 14,000 factors in there that might be taken into consideration within the algorithm. However, there's no weighting to it. Therefore, the reality is you may as well just write 14,000 words on a page and say, well, there's a random words on a page. There's a chance that these are connected, but you don't know what order, what priority, and what weight of a signal that has. And if it's even the completed document, it could just be a portion of one document. Let's face it, the algorithm's going to be very, very advanced, and 14,000 attributes is a lot, but I reckon there's probably a few more in there somewhere. And again, it's trying to not make huge judgments and huge swings. I would say just continue. The nice thing with me and James is we've got our own testing team, and we test. Obviously, we've got tons of websites as well, which also helps, but we test day in, day out. So from our point of view, will much change? Probably not. We might refine some processes a little bit more tailored towards what specific language is being used within the rank patterns, but I don't think we'll change much other than do more testing, test some of the knowledge that's maybe been shared, and then get the results.
Correct.
If it works. Correct.
Yeah.
Obviously, the dinosaur's back now. So,
yeah. Guess what's just happened?
What?
There's literally just been a text message through saying there's been an internet outage and we're trying to sort it.
Oh.
So are you on your 4G now, or?
Literally, I'm trying to connect via 4G, so it might buffer again.
Right.
So that's not great. Unless I drive home very quickly and try and join to that connection. But
yeah, I think
it's all right, mate. I'm a big lad. I'll carry you. Don't worry.
Not ideal, but we'll have to do an episode 2.
Exactly. Well, we can do the episode again, but then probably it's one of those occasions where actually Karl gets to speak more than James.
Yeah.
Voice box is starting to go through here. So many words.
So James, as long as we've got you there and it's not buffering. So the same question to you, mate. What's your take?
So on the Google leaks,
guys, the leaks. Oh, here we go again.
Is it about
Google leaks? Silence.
Yeah. Wait and watch. Don't do anything. It's a bit like my podcast name, Broken Backlinks.
The mad thing is, because he's still connected, we'll probably be hearing his response when you click finish. You'll hear his response in Riverside, but we wouldn't have heard it at all on the podcast. That's working better now. You look sharper there.
Yeah, you're all right for now. So go for it. Your 30 seconds of glory.
30 seconds of glory, right? That's 27 seconds more than normal. So I think the big part, some of the biggest leaks in my point of view, they start talking about the semantic triples with semantic SEO. That's in there. They're saying obviously backlinks work, content's important, and topical authority. The topic dilution was quite a big one that was taken away from it with regards to how they work the radius of what they think the central topic of your kind of your website should be, and if you go too far away from that, you can be marked down. The small website, how they differentiate small websites, I found quite interesting. And then there was quite a lot of data in there about click data, which is kind of what I've always said. Traffic, and clickbait is
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, true to its name. Well, right, Karl, we'll continue on then. Obviously, the world knows that you two have been really successful in the world of SEO, but you also own other businesses. So for me, it's always intriguing to have chats with you, James, or similar personalities, because you guys are not really SEOs. It's just like me. I'm not an SEO. You obviously know, still a baby in the world of SEO. So testing, I know, becomes a vital part of being successful in the world of SEO, because you can either just follow a Google sign and then still burn yourself, which happened recently, we all knew in March, or keep testing and try and read between the lines. So my next question for you is there one or two of testing results which still stand out for both of you, which are still an integral part of Searcharoo or FatRank, which you probably tested, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and then that kind of became the foundation of your success, and then you kind of built up your testing levels based on, one or two of those foundational approaches. Am I making sense?
I think so. So, one of the tests that we always, and I think we mentioned it on a podcast I was on yesterday, which is very interesting because it was then also mentioned in the documentation as well. Obviously not doing a confirmation bias, but it's kind of like, I've been preaching this for about 10 years now, was the whole, you guess, well, the term power post, something that I coined, but it's where basically you have a guest post and you want that guest post to rank for LSIs or, easier to rank for keywords, utilize it. It's almost like a parasite, but not. So parasite, obviously, you're just fully leveraging the authority of the website. Usually they're on DR 50, 60, 70 plus sites, etc. Whereas what I prefer with a power post is I'm actually not looking at DR or anything. All I'm doing is going, does this website rank within this vertical? So it could be, it could be a tech, let's say a water bottle website all about water, but it doesn't get a huge amount of DR because of the niche and it doesn't get a huge amount of traffic. However, it ranks really, really well for water related terms. Therefore, we would get a power post. Let's say our website's all about selling water. We would get a power post on that website with some type of LSI, whether or not it's a specific type of water or ingredients within water or something, you know what I mean? And that's kind of the route that we've tested for a long time, and making sure that those sites rank or those pages rank on those websites just seem to push the needle a little bit more. There's so many websites that we review, and even from a backlink point of view, we've bought websites before in the past where they might have tons of tier 1 links, but they've got 0 tier 2 links. And very quickly, tier 2 links are generally quite cheap to get. So very quickly, you can see quite quick results by powering up just tier 1 links. It blows my mind how many people will spend, $600, $700, $800, if not more, dollars on a good link, on a good website, but then won't spend an additional $50 to $100 to $200 on building links to that link and essentially powering it up. And that's kind of what was mentioned within the I haven't fully dove right into the patent. I think half the problem is I don't like jumping on the news, the noise of the news. So
Correct.
I've read bits and bobs. I've opened up the page myself and typed in a few attributes. But other than that, I'm just going to sit on my hands and continue doing what we're kind of doing and continue. There is a few more tests we'll be running, but we're already doing a lot of what we've seen mentioned within it. And we can honestly say it's working. So it's sort of led to our success anyway. But again, it's without having confirmation bias, I'd rather just sit and wait and see what other people test as well.
Correct.
That's I think the key with all of it is, you have to be testing, and we're thankfully in a good position where we've got loads of websites and a lot of data, and then we work with, other people who own websites. We own a disavow brand, and I know that within the algorithm update, that not the algorithm update, within the ranking document, they're essentially trying to say that Google just ignores links. And that's what they're trying to say within that document. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that logic. However, it says it ignores links that hasn't passed its sort of trust level. Now, a lot of these sites might have at one point passed their trust level, but then were acquired or whatever and turned or hacked and turned into these spam sites that you're seeing. So who's to say that they're not still passing that trust, like that signal on, if that makes sense? So I think this is where, there is some spam that does slip through the hoops, and it's why we've been seeing recently, if you do a page level disavow, specifically on like this aggregate spam, you can actually see quite big jumps within just a couple of weeks without doing any other link building, just removing that aggregation spam. So there's like two tests that we've done quite a lot of, and we're still testing the aggregation spam one because that's quite a new the page level concept as opposed to just doing a root domain. It was always easier to do root domain than page level. So we are still very much testing that and seeing if we can. Primarily, we're doing it on websites affected by the HCU. So we're seeing if we can, was HCU actually about helpful content, or was it about links? And that's kind of because a lot of the sites that were hit, you would argue, did have helpful content. Like some of the websites, you read the content, and you're like, wow, this is, some people actually, let's say a product review website, they've bought the product, they've created a YouTube review of the product and wrote up the whole product review on their website, and that website's deemed as not helpful. Now, the only thing that flags in my head is there's a link issue. Maybe it's been building links, or it could be a bit, obviously SEO could be internal as well, but I would say it's more of an external links issue that's caused some type of algorithmic slap on it, because that's all it is. A lot of the time, the HCU updates was algorithmic, not manual penalties.
Correct. So sticking to that bit, in terms of having that approach of testing, you guys obviously have got to a point where you've got a really robust testing team in place. What would you recommend to small agency owners who probably don't have the budget to even have a testing team? How do they go about it?
So that's another thing. So our testing team isn't huge. It's about 8 people in size, but of those 8 people, obviously all the SEOs and link builders, we're often doing tests, and because we work on client websites, we're potentially seeing tests that clients are doing. What I would suggest to them is they speak to other agencies or join masterminds, go to conferences, meet like-minded people and team up. Like me and Dooley share resources, but it's not just me and Dooley. We've got a whole cohort of people who are testing things. I think one of the groups we're in is about 35 people all doing semantic tests on different websites and things, and we'll occasionally put some things that we've tried, and maybe we've used like ChatGPT, came up with some type of prompt that's helped improve the quality of content, seeing the proof of concept from an application to result within usually with like on-page elements, you're seeing results within a couple of days, because it's just based on getting the crawler to come back and refreshing the site. So all of those elements, I would say, if you're starting out, and obviously having a few staff members is going to be costly, then coming up with the tests is going to require quite a bit of your brain bandwidth. Even to this date, we struggle with coming up with unique tests that we can try and run, because it only gets so far, and it's like, well, I'm now repeating myself. So definitely join groups. There's plenty of Facebook groups out there that you can start. You will very quickly see the people who are actively testing, or the ones who are just trying to follow the white hat approach. My main pet hate is I'm not really a white hat, I'm not a black hat. I do SEO and I do business. I don't care about the hats. If you're making money, you're making money. That's great. That's, happy days. If you can share the knowledge of how to make money to someone else and then they can make money, even better. And that's kind of the approach we've always sort of took.
Yeah.
What about you guys? Do you do a lot? I know obviously you have access to hundreds and hundreds of, if not thousands of websites. Are you trying to do more testing on your side? Or?
It started quite recently. So since we've exploded within the English markets and had lots of success. So Matt, who's one of our in-house product managers, he's got a fairly large 5-6 people team there, and they do a lot of test. But then it comes down to, okay, what exactly are we trying to test as well? And that was literally my next question to you, to delve a bit deeper within the SOPs of your testing team in your company. Now, are there some basic tests your team's supposed to run every month to see if things are changing? Or you've done a test, you've got the result over a consistent period of time, could be 5 tests in a month, and you've seen the results you wanted, and then you just forget about it. It goes onto the shelf, or is it something you circle back to in a few months?
So we circle back probably every 6 to 8 months. Just depends on how much we've got going on. But if we see a result, obviously, because that, especially after an algorithm change, we would probably circle back just to double check. Primarily because we have seen it in the past where, like positions of links on pages can change dramatically on, the power that they have. We've tested that a few times with the whole reasonable circle pattern and all of this, testing. But then at the same time, you have to be wary of the not leaving a footprint. That's the key with anything we do, is try and footprint reduce. So if all of a sudden all of the links that I do follow are being built to your website all happen to be the first link on the page on all of these, it's a bit of a red flag, right? Of course. This is where, the various different tests we run, obviously you have to revisit them on occasion. Some we don't. Some are, that seems to work quite well. There's no point in revisiting because we're going to then actively apply what we've learned. And at some point, if it doesn't look like it's working anymore, then we'll go, right, well, that must have stopped working.
That must have stopped working, yeah. Which brings me to James now. James, while you were away, we've been talking about and delving deeper into testing teams. Karl kind of suggesting small companies who cannot afford a large testing team. So what would be his recommendation to try and still do that testing? Because for me personally, and my audience as well, where SEO it depends industry. We're all at the mercy of Google. So testing is your key vital case study, so to speak, when you're trying to win business, but also trying to prove a case. And this is a question for you, James, because but also for Karl, you guys are businessmen first, SEOs later, and probably not even an SEO. You just leverage an SEO to get ahead. And I've seen thousands of case studies where people go into these calls presenting case studies of their clients, which seems to have more impact to close deals rather than saying, I took my own website or a series of websites and I did a case study on this, and this. And that just seems to fall on deaf ears. People never take that seriously. A, why is that, James? B, but for you guys, because you got a proper standing within the world of SEO, when you or your sales team are going to sales calls, what kind of case studies are you using when it comes to testing clients, whether you don't have any NDAs signed, or are you presenting them case studies from your own digital portfolio?
With regards to an in-house testing team, it's very, very, very expensive. So I would recommend anyone now who's starting out, instead of an in-house testing team, to join cohort groups, little groups, and together collectively you can get 10 people in a group and it's going to be 1/10 of the price, and you're networking with people and it becomes a lot cheaper for you doing it. So people will test different things in the algorithm of what's working today. So, but your only way of getting into these private cohort groups is attending conferences and masterminds and building real relationships that can get you inside of these groups.
So
I think
we're
that's
very much on the
important for people to do.
same verdict. Yeah. But James, what I was saying was, we probably have about 8 in-house testers, but we're members of like loads and loads and loads of groups. I was saying one of the big cohort ones within the semantic side, I think we have 35 guys in there, and we all kind of try and chip in our own little bits and bobs when we're testing things, and just that data cumulatively is just huge. Like you've got 30 potential SEO or 35 SEOs there who all might have their own 1 or 2 team members. All of a sudden you've got, huge number of testing team members.
Yeah.
And you just don't get that data from not attending conferences and masterminds and making friendships and actually like coming out of your, it's a very insular game, introverted game. And I think the one great thing about Dooley is he is the typical, he's definitely not an introvert. So I am slightly more introverted by nature. However, I wouldn't say I'm 100% introvert either. So that kind of helps, I think. And I know it's very hard for someone who is introverted to listen to people who are more extroverted say, you just need to say hello.
I know.
You just need to come up and say hello to people. And honestly, if you do it, it will probably change your life. If I'm being honest, it'll at least elevate, or should hopefully elevate your life, just by saying hello to people that are in a similar a similar niche or a similar circle to you, and expand your circle.
I agree. I mean, one thing.
I agree.
One thing which has always amazed me, especially with James, is he could party all night, but then wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning and start sending out text messages and all of that. Because I'm exactly the same way. And my people say, what the fuck were you doing up at 4:28 in the morning sending out texts? And I say, because I know I'm going to forget, even though it's on my to-do list. So let me just get it out of the system. I don't care what time you actually read it. I know you'll eventually read it and get back to me. And I'm pretty sure James is exactly the same, because he starts functioning literally an hour after he's crawled into his bed after having a proper piss up in any one of the conferences we're at.
So the Polish conference we're at, I think we were up till about midnight one night. And was it before we got to the Poland, we were in Krakow, and we were sharing a room, so I start stirring. I'd had about 3 hours sleep at this point. It was about 3 a.m. And I noticed there's a light. I'm quite a light sleeper. There's a light on in the room, so I sort of turn and look. And he jumps out of bed. He goes, "Morning, do you want a cup of coffee?" I'm like, yeah, why not? Why not? We'll get up. Why not? 3 hours sleep at this point. Groggy as anything. Later on, he's like, "I fancy a nap." I'm like, "You're not going to sleep. You're up now all day."
How do you do that, James? I mean, people are amazed. How do you do it? I mean, if internet allows you to talk
if
now.
If internet allows me to, then being active with regards to fitness and good, healthy eating, just being a healthy individual. Like, I know people meant to have a lot of sleep, but I don't need that much sleep. Apart from if I'm drinking a lot and I'm eating loads of carbs and eating loads of unhealthy food, I need a lot of sleep. But when I'm healthy eating, I've just got a lot more energy about myself. Like, I probably only need 4 or 5 hours sleep, sometimes less. Like, if I'm going to the events, I only need 2 or 3 hours sleep, but normally 4 or 5 hours good sleep. And yeah, it's just being healthy.
Yeah, interesting you said that. I also think, James, with you in particular, I think you've got that ever-burning desire in you to prove a lot of things.
Yeah.
I've got the same, and I see that quite clearly in you, and that's how Karl describes you perfectly in his contacts on his phone. James Woodpecker Dooley. You keep knocking, you keep knocking, you keep knocking. And I've noticed that as well, where, yes, you need the right answer. But then if the answer doesn't satisfy you, you then go on to this journey of trying to tell the other guy in a polite way, of course, that he's just being an absolute fucking tosser, the way he's thinking stuff, and this is the best way of doing it. And I think it's a mix in you, James, where yes, you want to obviously get a lot of success and be known as one of the most brilliant business minds out there. But I think you also have a really good heart where you do want to pass on that knowledge and you do want to help people within the SEO or business community.
Yeah, I think the major part with this is it's about asking the right questions. So if someone tells me some information of what they have, it's like, oh, brilliant. When was the last time you tested this? And when you realise that they've not tested it and they just heard it on stage 5 years ago, at that point, I switch off and just say, so you've never tested it. You've not tested it for the person that told you hasn't tested it in the last 5 years. And for that reason, then I'm like, well, maybe you're sharing misinformation and you shouldn't be saying those things. And people don't like hearing that. But the algorithms change every week, never mind every year. So when someone's sharing something that they heard 5 years ago and they've never tested it, it's like, why are you even saying that information? Like, you shouldn't even be allowed to say that. But this is what's wrong with a lot of the SEO industry nowadays. People don't test. People read or listen to a video that was many years ago and reshare that information. And yeah, it's a scary industry when you're not networking with the right people.
I agree. I mean, as you gents know, I'm blessed that with Ypress I was able to, go on to one of the best conferences all around the world and then network with, whether it's yourselves, Charles Float, Kyle Roof, Matt Diggity's, the Matt Singers and all of that. So we're hearing it exactly the way it's supposed to be done. And then you kind of marry all that information with what you felt was the right way of doing it. It just gives you more confidence to catapult you on to kind of the next level, innit?
Well, why do you think that is though as well, Stephen? Because you're working for an amazing brand and an amazing company in Ypress, in the fact that if their database and their marketplace is the best in the internet, like, so you've got a massive collection of websites you can go and place links on that are very, very good value for money, which then means a lot of people are using you. So when you come along and you're Stephen from Ypress, people are willing to speak to you. If you're Stephen from little crappy guest post provider over here, you might not get that attention. But with the amount of information and obviously the massive clients that you have, they're willing to share information with you because you've got just as much data as what we have with what's working and what's not, because you're seeing the links that are being placed to these websites, and these CMOs or marketing managers or business owners, website owners are coming back to you saying, this worked really well, I want more of this. Or if it's not working, guess who's one of the first to find out? You, because you're going to get it in the neck. Yeah. So because of that, it works great for you as well.
I agree because obviously in time, and we've been doing this for 11 years now. So yes, Ypress has become quite a trusted brand out there. So clearly when I go to conferences, I've got a really robust brand backing me up and the product's fantastic for people to jump in. And then, of course, we manage expectations as we move along with a lot of case studies, just showing them the way it's supposed to be done. Marry the technology with the human element, and that just keeps people happy. But I agree with that. Last two questions, gents, before the internet issues kick in again.
Things are stabilised now.
This is exactly.
I'm enjoying the peace.
What Karl was talking about, and this is going back to where importance of links. Now, this is gents. This question is extremely important for my audience because we struggle with it every day. Is they all keep harping on the fact they want links with, a minimum DR or DA of 40, traffic 3K, 4K, 5K, but the traffic needs to be coming from predominantly US, UK, Australia, and then there needs to be a steady growth with traffic over the last 2 years. That obviously does not leave us with a lot of inventory out there to get them fresh new links every month. Whereas your strategy for building links with your clients is quite different. So if you were Ypress, How are you addressing this problem? What are you telling those clients?
Karl?
Yeah, so the hard part here is every SEO has their own version of what a good link is. And we're just talking about testing and things like that. And a lot of them haven't tested. And let's be honest, why do PBNs work? Most PBNs have no traffic. They have very little DR. Or they can even have zero DR. But you build a link on them and guess what? Bam, it works. And that's the same logic here is, DR is a made-up metric. DA is a made-up metric. The only thing that really Google's looking at is links. Now, leading on from that, the paper we're on about that was just released, the 14,000 ranking factors. Obviously, you've got something called Nav Boost. Now, what is quite interesting and something that we play around with as well is trying to get pages that are ranking within certain locations, say US, and it might be for LSI sort of keywords. And yes, you do seem to see a better result from the link that goes through to that page. Now, obviously, if you look at I think it was Nav Boost, don't get us on the term, I'm pretty sure it was Nav Boost was the term in their phrase. They do mention that the geographic location of the users can have a net positive effect on the website it's ranking to. So that would kind of correlate with the tests that we've seen. Mm. Now, from your customer's point of view, it's just a very tricky one because you'd almost have to have your own test data to say, look, these are 5 or 10 websites we've built or links we've built from these websites that have zero DR. And guess what? Bam, there's the results. But it's whether or not they then believe that in.
Correct.
It's a very, very tricky one. But Dooley, what do you think?
So my honest answer is the best type of link you can get is an authoritative. If you want to use DR, let's say DR, but even though that can be easily manipulated, but an authoritative, do follow link that's contextually, ideally relevant and gets some traffic. That is the holy grail of what a backlink is, right? What I would do is I would go and absorb as many of those in the WordPress database as I can, and I'd just keep working it backwards until it gets to a point when, Stephen, you say, I have no more DR30s with 5,000 traffic from the UK, and so on and so on. And then at that point, I'd then go and absorb all the DR29s and DR28s and DR27s and DR26s, and I'd work through and try to get as many links as I can because you need as many referring domains as you can. So, yes, I would try to get the metrics of what you're saying, but some of the DR20s without traffic are some of the most powerful links that you can get, which is the scary part because they don't have lots of outbound links because everybody else is chasing the DR30 plus with traffic. And because of the minimal amount of outbound links on some of these other sites, it can move the needle big time. So I would say you need to build referring domain count, and it's RDs, which is the major part of what's working. So if they've gone and absorbed everything that they think is what they would class as being quality in their database, start moving down to stuff that they might think is less quality, but it still moves the needle. And that's what they've got to try to understand. And maybe if they're not certain, get a secondary website, like an exact match domain or a partial match domain, and start building some links to that, and you'll see how much it moves.
I agree. Yeah. The trouble here sometimes we face, at least in my markets, is majority of our clients are big SEO agencies. So their in-house SEO team or their sales managers have obviously painted a picture to the brand they're representing. And then we go in with a conflicting theory and they're like, nah, mate, we don't want to ruffle the feathers. So you keep supplying as long as you can. If not, they just pop over to another link building agency and another one until that inventory within that category runs out. What surprises me that merry-go-round keeps on for like 2 years until the brand then gets frustrated and said, oh, you guys can't do the job any longer. And somehow they then pull majority of the budget they've got for SEO or for links and they start investing in Google Ads. The point I'm making there is what you also pointed at, James, that people, I think, in the world of SEO are too scared sometimes to tell the truth, or they don't even know what the truth is or the answers are, but they don't want to own up to it. And I think it's even more important that people are honest to each other, no matter who you're talking to, because if you don't know the answer, you don't know the answer, but then you also say, I'll go back, I'll test it, and I'll see what I can do, and I'll come back with the most relevant answer, and then it's up for you whether you take it or leave it. But yeah. I mean, it's still worth what you said.
What I would also say, Stephen, is quite interesting because obviously me and Dooley have a background in iGaming. Now, I think because of that iGaming background, it's a very, very different level of competition within the SERP. And I was when we were in Poland recently at the White Press conference, we had like the mastermind groups, and there was another guy there who was also in iGaming. I didn't know this. I didn't even know him at the time. And we started chatting, and one of the guys says, "Oh, well, what do you look at? DR30 plus." Literally, what he said, DR30 plus traffic and all that. I went, "No, not really. I just look at RDs. Yeah. And as long as I get more and more RDs, happy days, because it's iGaming and it's hard to get links. So I'm not going to then reduce that very small pool of links even further down. I just want the links." And then the guy at the back started laughing. He said, "Oh, I'm also in iGaming, and it's the exact same thing." He's like, "You don't know what a good link is until you place. So even if it's a DR30 or DR70, it might not move the needle at all." But then I was annoyed that James mentioned the little golden nugget of the DR20 pluses. But we even do like some DR0s, DR1s, 5s. It doesn't matter as long as they've got a decent amount of RDs. And they link through to you, and it's like, wow, sometimes you see them. And the thing is, those links are generally a lot cheaper than the DR 70s and 60s of the world. And from just a page rank perspective, obviously, are going to be passing a lot more page rank through to your website because of the low amount of OBLs. So, yeah.
If there's one knowledge bomb for you to take away, is people should be looking at the DR15 to the DR30 range. Because that DR15 to DR30 range has not been spammed to death and not got loads of outbound links, and some of them are so powerful, and they've got traffic as well, some of those sites. And that DR15 to 30 range, plus one more thing before Karl jumps in, right?
One more thing, isn't he? I bet you watch.
I guarantee you now, right? So many times we've tested this. A DR50 link on a guest post that's got no referring domains to that page versus a DR15 link, so 50 or 20, DR20 to DR50 with a tier 2 backlink. I would take a DR20 link with a tier 2 backlink to that page over a DR50 link with no page power. You've got to remember, the link is placed on a page, not on a domain. And people forget this, and they're obsessed with domain rating and not page rating. Either go and get yourself some internal links to that page, or go and get some tier 2s, or try and rank that page, or try and get the right semantic keywords in the guest post. A DR20 beats a DR50 all day long if that page has got power over the DR50 where the page doesn't have power.
It's power. Before Karl, you jump in and put in your ending note to it. This is just a note for all my audience, but most importantly, my clients, because I'll make sure that this video, this question which has been answered by James and Karl, is being circulated to each and every one of you, which we have been talking about. So it's worth considering. And but this answer alone is weight of gold, what you've just said, because, there are lots of link builders out there who pretty much follow exactly what we struggle with. And then you gents come in and you completely turn the tables and say, guys, you've been just looking at it the wrong way. But anyways, Karl, sorry, you wanted to.
Yeah, so my other add to that, obviously completely, it's what we chatted on earlier, Steve, was when Dooley was missing, when AWOL. But another caveat to that is a lot of the sites that you placing on the like DR15s and things, they're often growing. So you can revisit those where there might be a DR15 now, but actually you get a post on there, you get some tier 2s linking to it, all of a sudden it's getting some traffic and ranking. It's going to hopefully naturally get some more RDs to it. You're already building RDs because you're actually almost treating that like a tier 1 because you're building the tier 2 links. Guess what? DR starts to go up.
Correct.
So it's like you're getting in early before everyone else all of a sudden comes into their eyesight. So you might be on that website for a year because let's face it, the links will over time deteriorate. It's gonna decay. So yeah, it's good to get in early, and that is one of the best ways, I think.
Talking of link decay, and it's good that you've actually said what you just said, which makes me think, do you think it's a good idea for people building backlinks to go back and revisit the same website after 12 months and then place another backlink, and it could be the same landing page or the URL?
Not the same landing page.
Not the same landing page, but yeah, I would 100% revisit and place on another page on that website. And at the same time, in 12 months' time, build some tier 2s to that post. Chances are if you did do tier 2s a year ago, they might have dropped. So you want to rebuild those links and try and power it up some more.
Okay.
I'll give you another little bit of a knowledge bomb here, Stephen. Right. Mm-hmm. So this is what we do regularly. If we find a really good guest posting site and we think that was a good guest post, we're happy with that. 12 months later, we'll revisit it and we'll do a new guest post on that same site that links through to our same website, right? So that same domain's got like 2 links from the same referring domain. Well, what we'll do is we'll get the old guest post and we'll do an internal link to the new guest post because it's already got tier 2s. And then link through with a different anchor text, and again works brilliantly. Like, so you're testing out some of your guest posts, but getting 2 referring domains, getting 2 links from the same referring domain moves the needle. I'm not saying it's as good as when you first get a backlink from that referring domain. I want as many different referring domains as I can, but a second link from the same referring domain is good as long as it's on a different page.
The point you were making. No, this is fantastic. These are knowledge bombs where I'll make sure that my clients listen to all of this.
For your clients as well, Steve, is what you're actually essentially doing. If you're doing the guest post right, you could be building a little bit of a sort of semantic network on that client's website and like its own little silo, which is hopefully ranking for LSIs within your industry. So it's only going to start contributing more and more value and power in the SERPs towards your own assets anyway. So it's a no-brainer, if I'm being honest. And there was a study a while back, I'm pretty sure Ahrefs did it, right, where they were doing it on reciprocal link building, but I'm pretty sure they also mentioned one on, having more than one link from a page. Yeah. And if you think it's a huge, huge footprint, having all of your do-follow links all come from one page on one domain, it's just a footprint that everyone seems to overlook.
I agree.
Yep.
Time to wrap up, gents. But before we do, last question to both of you. And I think I did partly ask this question to James in Saigon, I think, in Matt Singer's conference. You guys obviously are businessmen first, SEOs later. You've been in the game of SEO for a very long time. You've made your millions. I'm sure you're on your way to make billions if you've already not done that. What's the end game? Another, 5 years, 10 years within the world of SEO? Sell everything off, buy a little island somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and then just name it the James Dooley and Karl Hudson Island.
I'll go on.
We don't really have an end. We just enjoy the journey, I think. And, hopefully it doesn't bankrupt us at one point, but if it does, I'm sure we'll get around it. No, we just enjoy the journey and just keep on networking and meeting new people and new ideas. Try and say no a little bit more, because we both suffer quite badly. He's definitely worse than I am, but we both suffer really bad with saying no. So yeah,
I would love to get to a point so I don't ever have to use white press again at some point, so I can block you, Stephen, and never speak to you ever again. Because I'd drink a lot less vodka. That would be one part. But no, seriously, like what Karl said, it's all about the journey. I don't have an end goal. It's about the journey and there isn't an end goal. There's no retirement plans or anything like that.
Brilliant. Excellent. Well, gents, can't thank you both enough, even though James was disappearing, but can probably do another. There we go. There you go. That makes up for it, James. That makes up for it. But thanks once again. Really, really honored. Fantastic chat. I'm sure the audience is going to love all those knowledge nuggets. I'm pretty sure your next stop in the world of SEO conferences is what? The White Press Conference in Dublin on the 19th of June. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Brilliant. So yeah, again, people who want to have a face-to-face chat with these two legends, then yeah, just pop over to our website and look for some more tickets, because they are selling really, really quickly. It's on the 19th of June in Dublin at the Gibson Hotel. Myself, Karl and James will be on stage, and we'll be just having another longer, healthier conversation about the world of SEO and how to scale businesses, how to perhaps, be the next James Dooley or Karl Hudson. Who knows? But gents, thank you very much again. You guys have a lovely day. Stay safe. Peace.
Hey, Stephen.
Apologies.